Hi, this is Jacqueline here with the GROW program, and I want to thank Bishop Deere again for coming yesterday. And he has a very interesting perspective on a lot of different things. I like to have him on again. Um, he's a very dear friend of mine and someone I was able to talk to, during some very difficult times, and I appreciate his insight and his thoughts. And good morning, kings and queens. It is a great day in the Lord. I think that as royalty, we rise early in the morning. See, I'm an early riser anyway. I wake up early because I was a bus driver. I had to be at work sometimes at 4 in the morning. So, I'm used to getting up, and getting up don't bother me. But I have to go to bed. I'm usually in bed by 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I'm knocked out. One time I slept through an earthquake, honey. It take a lot to wake me up. I'm a hard sleeper. But anyway, wanted to talk on some things this morning. I want to get on me for a minute. See, I never knew that it's things about me that I never knew until last year when I moved in that house. It's things about me that I never even took the time to know because I was so busy running up behind somebody else and worrying about them and what they doing and where they at. I wasn't seeing about, I'm telling you the truth, I was not really seeing about me spiritually, really mentally, like meditating and focusing on the Lord like I do now. It's things about me that I didn't know. I didn't know that I like to talk a lot, because see, like I told you, I'm a bus driver, so I didn't really talk a lot. I was quiet most of the time. And I always truly felt that I was a quiet person. I did. I thought I was quiet. I used to tell people I'm quiet, I did. But listen, I'm going to tell you, God is always in the plan. He's always in the plan, and I knew I had a calling on my life at an early age. And anything that I set out to do with God always work out perfect as long as I got the Lord in it. Now if I'm going off doing something of my own, that's me. God is still with me, because I ain't never left the Lord ever. No. That's what you don't do, But I just go off doing my own thing, like the tree. Tree's supposed to go straight up. Supposed to start growing branches up at the top. But some of these branches, they go branch off all different kind of crazy ways. Doing different things. So that's us in the Lord. We need to stay rooted and upright and growing straight up in the Lord. But we want to branch off, do our own little different things. But look, in my radio ministry, man, it was beautiful. It really was. Anything that I set out to do worked out perfect. I used to deliver food baskets. I did all this on my own. It's my ministry, And one particular time I had the back to school event, and that's one event that I'm very, very proud of. I put together a back to school event. This is when I was on the radio ministry. This is probably about 4 years ago, and I sent out flyers. I posted on Facebook, and then I prayed that people would come. I ordered a bunch of book bags, filled them up with supplies. Me and my kids went to Walmart. I had like 50, 60 book bags. It was a whole lot of them. And then we had hot dogs, cotton candy, face painting, all kind of stuff. Then my daughter was a unicorn, and she was so beautiful. I have pictures on the Facebook ministry. And this how it worked out. Everything worked out perfect. But listen, I'm quiet. It was a great big crowd, and I'm quiet. So I didn't want to speak. And so I would have if I had to, but I didn't want to. I was quiet. And so I, at the last minute, called Bishop Apostle Steve Johnson out of St. Louis, and he came at the last minute. I mean, I'm telling that's God. He came and he spoke to the crowd and he did a beautiful job. He did. Everything worked out perfect, honey. Everything was beautiful. The kids had fun, face paint. I mean, it was beautiful, because the Lord did it. And then in the end, it was one book bag left. And I told my daughter, she was like, I think Leah was probably like in the 5th grade then. I think so. Yeah, about the 5th grade. And there was one book bag left. And I said, well, Leah, I guess it looked like you're going to have some extra school supplies. And then a little boy walked up to me and he said, excuse me, ma'am. There's a bunch of us standing there, getting ready to close it out. Excuse me, ma'am. He said, I didn't get a book bag. And I said, well, here you go, baby. And that was it. That's it. See, all things work out perfect when you're doing for the Lord, when you're trying to work for God. All things work out perfect because things going to work out in God's perfect plan. Just like they going to work out now. They going to work out with this chaos, negativity, and drama that this country's in right now. Everything going to work out. Everybody who is responsible for all of that is going to be held, just like anybody who do anything, even if you ain't caught in this life, you do got to give an account. See, that's what I don't understand. How do you allow the evil to take over? Because you know that God is in control. God is a master God. God is omnipotent, all powerful. So how do you try to rise up against God? How do you turn your back on the Lord? How do you say, look here, no, I want the money. I want to do this. I want that. I'd rather have because see, look, what for a man to gain the world and to lose his soul? You're going to lose your soul over money. You're going to lose your soul over power. You're going to lose your soul over status. Is that worth it? To be condemned, to be a tormented soul? You don't ever stop to think about, what happens in the spirit life? You just think you just here to stay forever? It don't work like that. See, you got to give an account. You got to begin to fix your heart. See, people don't realize, as they going about, they doing what's in front of them. As they going about, they never stop and think, wait a minute. Let me check my heart. Let me make sure my heart is right. Before I go all off doing different things, I want to make sure, that I'm right with God. People don't think about that. What's been happened to our ancestors in this country, they didn't think about that. How do you not think about that? How do you not think about, hey, look, this is another human being I'm doing something to? How do you not think about that? You got to give an account. You got to leave here. Folks leave here. Don't you think about what happened when they leave here? Well, somebody was watching something. You can't just do and think that nothing gonna come back on you. Like the bishop said yesterday, and he said it in some strong language. Karma. There's karma. Karma is something. Karma is something. You got to watch out. We got to be careful, people, how we do folks, I'm telling you, I honestly, I really try to stay off of that topic. I really do, because see, I'm here for God, I'm here I'm knocking down the doors of oppression. I'm kicking them in. I'm telling you, because I've been oppressed, but I try to stay off this topic, but it still keeps coming in my head because look here, my ancestors are upset about this, about what happened at that Capitol building. They are upset because evil came to take over, but at the same time, we it's a plan that they working out. It's a plan. Because see, the evil The evil then kind of accelerated God's plan a little bit. See, because the evil came to the Capitol building, and disgraced it. Totally disgraced it. Walking through there with a Confederate flag. How could you do that? I mean, really, how could you do that? This country just represents you. That's what you're saying? It just represents you. That's why you felt the need to, I would like to ask that man a question. Why do you feel this country, who all types of races and cultures are over here building up, working, contributing in the United States right now as we speak, but you feel that the United States belongs to you only? And you feel, so what does that flag, what are you walking through with that flag? What does that flag mean? What are you trying to say with that flag? Because see, the United States is a melting pot. We are not just one race of people. It's not just black and white like it used to be. It's not that anymore. We have all different races and cultures over here. Matter of fact, we got some different races and cultures that are about to enter into the White House. So what are you saying walking through there with that? He don't even know what he's saying. Because see, he just ignorant and stupid. He's so ignorant and stupid that he don't even realize that the United States is a melting pot full of people. We got lawyers, judges, we got people everywhere, all over doing all different type of things. Now, this is not 1950, 1930, 1800, 1776. I don't even know if that man was real. It's so unbelievable that you think that must have been a ghost or something. That's how unbelievable. I shake my head when I think about it, but I'm going to get off of that because, see, I'm going to have the beloved to remove that vision out of my head of him walking through there with that flag, in the rotunda where John Lewis laid, I got to get that out of my head. Okay. He going to be dealt with, honey. I'm going to tell you that. He going to be dealt with. Okay. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what it comes back to. It comes back to us doing right in this life, because God put love on our heart, us being right to one another, and like I said yesterday, you can't unite with somebody like that, because see, he always gonna think that he's better than you. So you got to just remove that, just like I'm asking the beloved to remove that vision from my head. You just got to separate yourself from that. You just like you separate yourself from the chaos, negativity, and drama. You can't mix up with that. How you gonna mix up with that and you trying to walk in the Lord? No, it don't work. You have to be with like-minded people who think like you. People who worrying about being judged and worrying about what's going to happen. When I get in the next life, am I doing folks right? Am I helping people? Am I out here trying? Lord knows I'm trying. God knows I'm trying. I heard people say that. God knows I'm trying. And I'm going to tell you something else I said about yesterday. I'm going to tell you something. I have actually seen people say, and I've heard people say, that I'm ugly. People say I'm an ugly person. People they think I'm ugly. I'm gonna tell you something. Ugly is defined by your actions. Are you ugly by your heart? Is your heart ugly? Because I'm gonna tell you something. It ain't no ugly people except the people who show themselves to be ugly by their actions. Donald Trump is one of the ugliest persons I've ever seen in my life by his actions. He's done some good things. He have. And I ain't gonna knock him for it. I can't, because I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm neither one. I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world. I'm a legend. So Donald Trump is an ugly person, but he has done some good things for Africans. He has. And I got to give him that, but he stood behind hate at the same time. So that makes him ugly. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Ugly is defined by your actions, because you could be the people say the most beautiful person in the world, but be the ugliest person. God, you got to treat somebody like that. You got to do that. You got to act like that. That's ugly. That's ugly. And you can never, and see, that's what God will see. God will see that it's ugly. You know, that's you got to do my people like that. You got to do that. You know, that's what God would see. You know, Lord, the spirits are not resting. And I'm gonna tell you another thing. It was the most difficult thing on this spiritual journey. The most difficult thing I've ever had to come to grips with, but to understand that Jesus was not a God, he was a prophet. That was the most, I'm telling you, I cried because there went everything that I ever believed all my life in Jesus' name and all this, praying to Jesus. And I remember standing at the sink. I'm telling you, that's why I had to come face to face with everything. I had to know the truth, and standing there at the sink and saying, in Jesus' name, I rebuke you. And just as sure that demon laughed in my face, and laughed when my daughter did the same thing. And then the Spirit came to me, in my mind and told me there is no Messiah. She said it just like that. There is no Messiah. And I said, no, I'm hearing that. It can't be real. It can't be true. But it is. And it was very hard for me to realize that. I cried. I did. I cried. And but I'm okay. And I understand that all religion on this earth is man-made. Whatever it is, denomination is all man-made. Christianity is man-made. I apply the Bible doctrine and teaching to my life in righteousness. That's what I do, like it says in Timothy. And but I don't pray to Jesus. And but Jesus, I'm gonna tell you something. Jesus about had healing power, but he didn't have the power to save himself from death. He didn't want to die. But I'm gonna tell you something. He about had healing power. But he taught us forgiveness. I want you to remember that. I also have healing power. In that house. See, I'm gonna tell you something. God gives us something so great, our mind over anything. See, that's how you able to get over drugs. That's how you able to come out from under that, your mind. Because in the end, that's what they tell you in rehab is all in your mind, but you just got to keep going to meetings and hold you up. But see, I'm going to tell you something. Royalty don't need no meetings. You don't need none of that. I've talked to people who said, I got over it through my mind. That's it. It's all in your mind. So you can do it. You don't need rehab. So what I'm saying, I've been burnt in that house, and it's a stove in there. And the stove, you know what? The stove is possessed. I'm just gonna say that. It's a old electric stove, but it's like cooking on one of them wood stoves back in 1600. I'm telling that thing, if you turn on one burner, the whole stove heat up. You cook an egg on the stove. That stove, I'm telling you, you can scramble an egg on that stove. That whole stove heat up on one burner. You can't touch nothing. And I let my daughter, I got a picture of it. I let my daughter, she cooked some one day, burn her hand up, and the shape of the shape of the burn is, I'm gonna put the picture on the website. The shape of the burn was the shape of the woman who was standing there at the dining room table that we saw through the ghost thing. And I got burned on that stove too. I stopped letting her use it after that. I cooked for her, but I got burned on that stove too. I burnt my hand really, really bad, real bad. See, because while you're on the stove, you got to dodge the flies, because as you cooking, the flies trying to land on your food. I mean, these flies just come out of nowhere all of a sudden. You could be in the bathroom, here come the flies. You could be in the dining room, here come the flies. You could be in the family room, here come the flies. I'm telling you, they everywhere in there because they represented the demons. You know, my dog standing there at the steps looking in the family room. She just watching, her head just going. She just dance, you know, they're in there dancing for whatever they doing. Then all of a sudden she stand up and she start growling because I guess they want to pet her. She wasn't having it. But anyway, I'm telling you, honey, the spiritual world is real, people. It's real. We got to get it together. And I'm here to help you get it together. Because I'm going to tell you something. I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to be on this podcast every day. You know, when the spirit moves me, it's plenty to listen to. It's a whole lot of episodes. See, because, one day I got pushed to do like 4 or 5 of them, you know, and then them YouTube videos, you know. I haven't been pushed to do any more YouTube videos yet, you know. One day I probably will do some more. But it's a lot to listen to. It's a lot of topics, and I'm gonna get on some more topics of how Africans oppress each other. You know, one way is through child support. You know, I wish that parents could sit down and talk together and work it out and get the man out of child support or get the woman out of child support, because child support is oppressive. You know, child support is the system, one of the systems that hold our African men down, because it takes away their license. It really takes away their livelihood. You know, you got to make this payment every single month and you can't miss it. Then there you go. You fall behind. You fall in the system. You lose your job. You got arrears. You got interest. You know, you can't do anything. You know, child support is like it's another one, man. It's another one that really holds our people down. And so to my listeners, I hope that if you have someone in child support or somebody in child support, or you in child support, I hope that you can sit down with that parent and y'all can work out an arrangement where you can take that parent out the system. I did, you know, he owed $20-some thousand, and I called him up and told him take him out of it. Forget it. I don't want it, you know. And then they said, we gonna hold on to it. You might change your mind. I said, ma'am, I'm not gonna change my mind. Please take him out of this. You know, and that was my ex-husband. You know, I did that for him. And we need to do that, people. Because this system is terrible. It really is. It's a terrible system. And just think about if they took you back to court, you'd be on the paying end, you know. So you need to think about that. And I want to tell you this. No one is superior to you. No one. You know, those people walking up in there that day, they ain't superior to you, and they finding this out, you know, because the Department of Justice is letting them know you're not superior over nobody. You're going to jail just like anybody else who went in there. Greatness reached over oppression through wisdom all over the world, you know. God bless you wherever you are on today. See, you royalty. When you rise up in the morning, you get up, take your shower. Don't lay in that bed all day. Get up, take your shower, present yourself to the world. See, that's what I do. I get up and get myself ready with, you know, them pictures and stuff you see. I'm like that all day. You know, that's royalty. You know, you're supposed to present yourself all day. You don't never see that queen over there sitting in curlers, you know, or somebody caught off guard. Now she's royalty. So you present yourself as royalty every single day. Your Sunday best is every day. You know, that's every day to God. Because see, you presenting yourself to God. You want a God. You represent God. You know, that's who you represent. Who you represent? God. You know, that's so you got to look it. You got to walk it. You got to act it. That's what I mean when I say walk in royalty, because you one of God's own, created in his image. You know, so don't you think you royalty? Of course you are. Yes, you are. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. Don't hold your head down unless you're looking for money. You know, hold your head up. I love you. I do. I really do. Yep, I do. I want you to love yourself. Look in that mirror and say, I love you. I'm one of God's own. And straighten up that collar, stand up straight, and put that, and go on out there and strut. Let me see, go on out there, you know, bring that swag back, or go get you some. You ain't got none. You know, find you some somewhere. It's plenty. God bless you, people. I love you.